I'm probably going to be talking a bit low throughout this review due to the fact that I'm going through a bit of an allergy attack right now. I know that has nothing to do with the film, so on that case... Swing Time was the winner of the 1936 Academy Award for Best Song. The song was The Way You Look Tonight, music by Jerome Kern and lyrics by Dorothy Fields. And it was sung separately by Fred Astaire and Georges Metaxa. I think that's how you pronounce it. This movie was also nominated for the now defunct award of Best Dance Direction, but lost to The Great Ziegfeld. So the movie Swing Time follows a character named John Garrett, who's nicknamed Lucky. Now Lucky is a tap dancer because this is a Fred Astaire movie. After his dance performance in the beginning of the movie, he has to get ready for a wedding. He's about to get married. And he runs very late. So late that the wedding gets called off and everyone leaves. Now his bride-to-be's father, played by Landry Stevens, isn't very happy about this, and he already doesn't like him to begin with, to the point where he utters the line, "I won't let you marry my daughter for $1,000, which prompts Lucky to respond, "How about $25,000? This catches Mr. Watson's, that's the father's name, Mr. Watson's attention, in which he says, "You can go and make it well in the business world and bring back $25,000. I'll let you marry my daughter." So, Lucky takes the bet and takes around his friend Edwin, who's nicknamed Pop, played by Victor Moore. They go off together to New York City. They're not really quite sure what they're gonna do. You think that maybe they're gonna try to get hired someplace or start a business from scratch, but none of that matters because Lucky gets sidetracked when he comes across a dance institution and, through some contrived writing, specifically a lovely young lady named Penelope Carroll, or nicknamed Penny, played by Ginger Rogers. She is already a good tap dancer to begin with, and she works at the institution, but Lucky is able to show off his talents as a tap dancer, so the two go off together as a dancing duo performing in many places. Things are going fine until they both realize that they're falling in love with one another. Uh-oh. And that's our movie. Let's start with the good. I like Fred Astaire, I like Ginger Rogers. They both work well together on screen. They dance together very well, they're good singers, and they play off of each other. They're just enjoyable to watch on screen, so I don't have anything against them. The musical numbers are also pretty good. The song that won the Academy Award, The Way You Look Tonight, is probably my favorite Best Song winner so far doing this Oscar review thing. Because unlike the other two numbers that have won, this one was more focused on the actual singing and on the actual words. The other two were these big bombastic productions of which you could tell there was a lot more focus on the production than the writing. The song is just kind of get there because they needed a song. This one actually worked. It actually works well with the plot. It's Lucky singing to Penny, essentially hinting that he has feelings for her, and it works. And it's just him playing on the piano. It's nothing bombastic. There's not like 20, 30 something background dancers to it. It's focused on the song and the writing of the song and the person singing the song, and it works. Now, I mentioned that someone else does sing the song. Yes, in the very next scene, Georges Metaxa, I'm going to call him by his character really soon, and his character's name is Ricardo Romero. He is singing the song with an orchestra. His orchestra, actually. His character's orchestra, since he's the conductor. But he's singing with the orchestra. And it's there because, well, they needed something to connect that scene and the previous scene together. And Lucky and Penny are dancing to this number. I'll get more on Ricky later. The tap dancing numbers are also very good. The best one in the movie is also, like, the big one. The one that lasts, like, at least 5 minutes. There is one thing people might have problems with, though, and that is the fact that Fred Astaire is wearing blackface. There's no established reason why he's wearing blackface. I'm not sure why. He's kind of dressed like a clown a little bit, and he doesn't say anything racist. He doesn't say anything that would be of a black stereotype or anything like that. He's just wearing blackface, and there's no reason why. If that doesn't sit well with you, I totally get it. It was a little difficult for me to watch, but once I was able to get past the fact of like, all right, he's wearing blackface. This is the 1930s. It's 28 years before civil rights became a thing. All right. How was the number? The number was good. It was fun. It was exciting to watch. Fred Astaire was quite the talent. Now let's talk about the plot, which leads us into the bad. Now, the first act is very strong. It has a reason to exist. You know why he's going to New York. It's solid. Act 2 is where things get a little wonky because for some reason the movie tries to retcon the fact that Lucky is going to New York to get money so he can win Margaret, who's played by Betty Furness. Because at first you think he legitimately loves her. I mean, why wouldn't he? He was going to marry her in the first place. But then Act 2 seems to retcon all that as he's developing feelings for Penny. And the movie seems to play it off like, oh, he has to marry Margaret, but not that he really wanted to. It makes it seem like he didn't really want to do that in the first place. Especially now because he's having feelings for Penny. There is a love triangle, yes, in this movie, centered on Lucky between Margaret and Penny. And it wasn't written very well. Usually the way these love triangles work is the guy is already with the girl. She has something inherently dislikable. Maybe it's not obvious in the beginning, but usually it's hinted at the beginning. And then, as the movie goes on, this guy starts falling for another girl without realizing it. But then, because he's a good person and all that, he kind of stands back and says, okay, I'm already pledged to be with this girl. It wouldn't be fair to her. What kind of guy would I be if I were just to ditch her for you? Well, then the other girl, the first one, would do something or show something that shows why she's dislikable in the first place. Then the main character realizes it. The main character goes with the girl that he's supposed to be all along, and the movie has a happy ending. This movie couldn't do that for me because it didn't show that conflict, and there wasn't really anything inherently dislikable about Margaret. The love triangle just didn't work. It didn't have tension, it didn't have conflict, it just wasn't interesting. And it's not the only love triangle in this movie. There is a love triangle centered on Penny between Lucky and this other guy who she's known far longer named Ricardo Romero, but everyone calls him Ricky. This one was handled a lot dumber than the other one, in my opinion. For one thing, Ricky kind of acts like an asshole throughout the entire movie. He refuses to play the dance number that Lucky and Penny are supposed to dance to for their performance. He refuses to conduct that. Lucky has to pull some strings via gambling and all that to get him to do it, but he just refuses to do it because it's another guy dancing with the girl that he has feelings for, I guess. And then in Act 3, Penny gets mad at Lucky for something that I didn't really buy it. It just seemed forced. And it's like, oh no! She's gonna go marry the other guy. Uh-oh! And I didn't buy that either. It's like, why are you going off to marry this other guy who clearly you don't really have much feelings for? It's like, what the hell? Stop forcing this conflict down our throats. I'm not buying it at all. Given that this is not a very risky movie, it does have a happy ending in which the top-billed male and female leads will get together in the end. Yes, I spoiled it, but come on. Like you didn't see that coming. And there are better ways this could have been written. But the ending, I thought, was the stupidest, most cop-outish thing I have ever seen. Even though it was based upon a joke that was established in the first couple scenes in the film. So it did like a full circle thing. But it didn't work. It didn't work for me. I thought the ending was stupid. Not to mention it made the character of Penny look stupid, because again, I didn't believe that she was perfectly okay by going off and marrying this other guy. I didn't buy it at all. I'll say this. This is a movie that was made for the dancing and the singing. You're not going to see it for the story. You're going to see it for dancing, you're going to see it for the singing, and you're going to see it for the main two actors in the movie. The filmmakers knew this, and they went with it. And that's where I believe this movie gets held down from. So this movie had great dance routines, it had great musical numbers, the acting was adequate, it had a solid first act, it started falling apart in Act 2, and then it crashes in Act 3. Swing Time as a movie is eh. However, it probably might fit well in a Fred Astaire collection if you are starting one up. Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, if you have a collection, it might fit well there. Just as a movie alone, doesn't really work for me. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.